All right, so tonight we're going to be talking a little Braves baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about 2020 moves, where the Braves are headed in the year 2020. ESPN came out with their power rankings for the 2020 season earlier today. They have the Braves listed at number 4. We're going to do a little bit more of a player breakdown as far as how we feel the Braves will, what kind of moves they'll make in the offseason. And to start, we're going to start with Shane Greene. Randy, what are your thoughts on Shane Greene? A little bit of a bumpy 2019 season, kind of smoothed it out towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, did really well with Detroit there, beginning of the year. Was able to get on the All-Star team. Looked really good coming into halfway through the season. Braves picked him up after the trade deadline. Yeah, he had a rough couple games with the Braves. Right at the first part, when they picked him up, I knew he wasn't pitching very well at all. Towards the end of the season, he started coming up in bigger spots when we needed him more in that setup man kind of role that.
Do you feel like he's a 2020 guy, or do you feel like this is a guy they're kind of gonna let him go his own way?
I think just because of the lack of relief pitching on the Braves, you might see him come back. I think there's also a lot of options out there that might be just as good as him. I don't know how particularly special the guy is.
Yeah, I think it's a lot harder, from the Braves' point of view when he was signed to not necessarily be the man, but definitely contribute, I believe, in a bigger way than he actually did. It just kind of inconsistent in a sense. And like I said, he smoothed it out towards the end of the year, but it'll be interesting to see what Atlanta does and what the Braves decide to do going into next season.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that there was a lot of hype about him coming to Atlanta right away. There was that interview that right after he got traded from Detroit that it was like, I'm going to be the closer, basically. And then he went out there and kind of blew it the first couple games, and then we saw guys like Melanson for the rest of the season coming out in the ninth. Never really saw Shane Greene coming up in that big ninth inning spot too much.
Right. Now, I think the question that all Braves fans wish they had the answer to, Josh Donaldson. This guy had a strong year this year, put up some great numbers, great power hitter. After this year's, what most fans would say, disappointing playoff run, is he a guy that comes back next season for the Braves?
Yeah, I think that's what everyone wants to know, right? Josh Donaldson's a guy who has had kind of an injury-plagued career, but had some real star-studded moments there. Had a great year with the Braves this year. Really stepped up. I mean, yeah, his postseason wasn't the best, but a lot of players on the Braves didn't really play the best in the postseason. I think he's a guy that the Braves will definitely be talking to. I mean, they have to really be talking to him in the winter meetings.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of fans would definitely like to see him come back. Now, one thing I think some fans were intrigued by was the amount of money the Braves paid for him for last year. Where do you see him coming in at next year as far as salary goes, if it were to be again, another one-year deal?
Another one-year deal is going to probably put him, I feel like, in the, $30, $40 million range. It's going to be a lot of money. It's going to be a lot, and I don't know. It's a good question because it's whether or not you want to keep paying an aging. Josh Donaldson's is going into his age 34 season.
That's definitely a concern for some fans as well,
especially a guy who has a lot of injuries throughout his career.
Right. And speaking of injuries, Dansby Swanson, he's the guy. Obviously, he's going to be with the Braves next season. What do you think of the future of Swanson? Is he a lifelong Brave, or do you think this is a guy that they trade before? Some fans would say it's too late.
Yeah, kind of a sell high kind of move, maybe. He's had the best hitting season he's ever had in the major leagues.
Definitely showed up in the playoffs.
Had a great postseason. I think he's showing a lot of promise. I think if you're trying to just say that you want to get rid of him, I think that's a little. I don't know. It might be the time to sell high on Dansby. It depends what you can get for him. But if the right package came along, yeah, we could probably use maybe some more pitching and maybe another outfielder. And I mean, we've seen guys like even a Danny Hechavarria. That's a guy who's an interesting guy to talk about. He provides some much needed depth at the infield role that we don't really
definitely
that
flexible player too.
Yeah, exactly. A very flexible player. Showed some. I mean, definitely not known for his hitting ability, but had some good games there after we picked him up.
Yeah, definitely got a lot of fans excited. Made some big plays, made some exciting plays. Um, earlier you brought up pitching. I think that's really in the eyes of Braves fans right now, and especially Julio Teheran. What's his future look like in your opinion?
I don't know. What do you think? I think Julio's a guy that, for me, he can go. We could take him or leave him. I think he's a league average pitcher. I think he's.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think he's one of those guys that's consistently inconsistent, and he's either on or off. But even when he's on, it's not like he strikes a lot of people out, but he does tend to get a lot of outs at the same time. And from baseball perspective, that's what you want is you want outs. But then again, Tehran's a guy that been with the Braves for a little while. He's had his on and off seasons. 2019 was really a year that seemed to be, his career in a nutshell, just completely inconsistent. But we'll see what the Braves do for 2020 and the years to come after that. I personally don't see Tehran being with the Braves in the near future, but